Um, she drew Hannah's slightly figure closer against her, like a child, and presently the woman shuddered ceased. This is page 189, by the way, and Hannah drifted into the shallow napping of the very old. There was no such escape for Kit. Her first surge of relief soon died away, and her thoughts, numbed by the sheer terror of pursuit, began to stir again in hopeless circles. What chance did they have when morning came? Should she rouse Hannah now and push on down the river? But where could they go? Hannah was exhausted. All her strength seemed to have died with the dying flames of her house. She could take Hannah home with her, where at least there could be warm clothes and hot food, but her uncle was a select man. It would be his bounden duty to turn Hannah over to the law, and once they had her locked in jail, what then? What use would a child be when no one to speak in her defense but a foolish girl who was suspected of being a witch herself? Hannah could not even be trusted to answer the questioning straight. Like as not, her mind would wander as she would talk about her Thomas. Yet as the long hours wore away, Kit could find no better solution. Whatever might happen, Hannah needed immediate care. Even the jail would be better than this unprotected place. At the first gray light slanted along the river, Kit made up her mind. They would not risk the main roads. They would pick their way along the shore of the river and cut through the meadows back to her uncle's house. Then believingly, one in the mist came, the mirror. First 2 points of masts, then sails transparent and reed-like in the fog. Then, as Kit strained her eyes, the looming hull, the prow, and the curled tail of a fish. The dolphin, glory be to heaven, the most beautiful sight in the world. The dolphin moving down toward Wright's Island on a steady breeze. Kit leapt forward to her feet. "Hannah, wake up! Look here!" Her stiff lips could scarcely babble. She had flung her arms into the air, waving wildly. She could hear a man's voice across the water, but the fog rolled tantalizing between her and the ship. She tore off her petticoat and waved it hysterically, but she dared not shout. And if she could not attract their notice, the dolphin would sail past down the river, and their chance would be gone. Kicking off her shoes, Kit waded into the river, plunged and struck out toward the ship. It was a very short swim, but she had overdrawn her strength for days past. She was panting when the black hole loomed over her head, and at first she could barely raise her voice above the wash of the ship. She drew a careful breath and tried again. There was a cry above her and a sound of running feet. "Ahoy, all hands, man overboard! 'Tis a woman! Hold on there, ma'am. We're coming." She heard shouted orders, a thumping and creaking ropes. Then the lifeboat swung out over her head and lowered with a smack into the water. Nat and the red-headed sailor were inside, and she had never been before so happy to see anyone. "I knew it," groaned the red-headed one, as she clung grasping to the side of the boat. "Kit, what kind of game is this? Hannah, she's in terrible trouble, Nat. They burned her house. Please, can you take her on the dolphin?" They dragged her over the side of the boat. "Where is she?" Nat demanded. "Tell the captain to heave to." He yelled to her toward the deck. "We're going ashore." "There," pointed Kit, "by the pile of logs. We've both been there all night. I didn't know what to do, and when I saw the ship, all at once she was sobbing and babbling like a 3-year-old about the witch hunt and the chase through the cornfield, and the man who had come so close." Nat's hands closed over hers hard and steady. "'Tis all right, Kit," he said over and over. "We'll take you both on and get you some dry clothes. Just hold on a few minutes more till we get Hannah." The boat scraped the shore. Still dazed, Hannah accepted the miracle and the prospect of a journey like a docile child. Then, after 2 shaky steps, she turned obstinate. She would not set foot in the boat without her cat. "I can't go off without her," she insisted. "I just can't, and thee ought to know that, Nat." She just grieved her heart out, with no home to go to and me gone off the ship. "Then I'll get her," said Nat. "You wait here, and I'll keep quiet, both of you." Kit was outraged. If she had been Nat, she would have picked up Hannah and carried her off in the boat with no more nonsense. As he strode up the bank, she scrambled after him through the wet underbrush. "You're crazy, Nat," she protested, her teeth chattering with cold. "No cat is worth it. You've got to get her out of here. If you could have heard those people. If she's set on that cat, she's going to have it. They've taken everything else." Nat stood in the midst of the charred cinders that had been the little house. "Damn them," he choked. "Curse all of them." He kicked a smoldering log viciously. They searched the trampled garden, and presently they heard a cautious meow. The yellow cat inched warily from beneath the pumpkin vine. She did not take to the idea of capture. They had to stalk her, one on each side of the garden, and Nat finally dived full length under a bush, dragged the cat out, and wrapped it slightly in his own skirt. Back at the shore, Hannah received the writhing bundle with joy and climbed obediently into the rowboat. "Where are we going, Nat?" she asked trustfully. "I'm taking you to Saybrook for a visit with my grandmother. You'll be good company for her, Hannah. Come on, Kit. Father, will you go on without us?" "I'm going, Nat, and all I wanted was to see Hannah safe." Nat straightened up. "I think you'd better, Kit," he said quietly, "till this morning blows over at least. This is our last trip before winter. We'll find a place for you in Saybrook and bring you back first trip next spring." Kit shook her head. "Or you could go back to the West Indies with us." "Barbados!" Tears sprang to her eyes. "I can't, Nat. I have to stay here." The concern in his eyes hardened to awareness. "Of course," he said courteously. "I forgot. You're going to be married." "'Tis Mercy," she stammered. "She's terribly ill. I couldn't go. I just couldn't, not knowing." Nat looked intently at her, and took one step nearer. The blue eyes were very close. "Kit, ahoy there!" There was a bellow from the Dolphin. "What's keeping you?" "Nat, quick! They'll hear the shouting." Nat jumped into the boat. "You'll be all right. You need to get warm." "I'll go home now. Only hurry." She stood watching on the boat pulled away from the sand. Halfway to the ship, Nat turned to stare back at her. Then he raised an arm silently. Kit raised her own arm to wave back, and then she turned and started back along the shore. She dared not wait to see them reach the Dolphin. In another moment she would lose every shred of common sense and pride, and fling herself into the water after the rowboat, and plead with them not to leave her behind. Though it was long past daybreak now, her luck still held. She met no one in the northern field. Once she dodged behind a brush pile as the town herder came by with some cows to pasture. She reached in the house without further danger. The shed door was still unbolted, and she let herself in and crept noiselessly through the house. She heard a murmur of voices, and as she reached the hallway, the door to the kitchen opened. "Is that you, Kit?" Aunt Rachel peered at her. "We decided to let you sleep, poor child. Dr. Berkeley has been here all night. Praise God, he says the fever is broken." In her joy and weariness, Aunt Rachel did not even notice the sundress and hair under Kit's woolen cloak. Now that is 194. We'll continue on 194 next time. This is the end, because we're going to start chapter 18.